All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Magic here at GameSwap Mason, brought to you by Top Deck Productions. We've got 5 rounds of hot modern action coming at you.
That's right.
I'm your host, Zachary Creamer, and I'm joined by Connor Sloan.
As always.
We've got a good one to start you off tonight. We've got Brent Rogers on Humans and Patrick Narsavage on Mardu Pyromancer. So this has become a very central match in the current modern metagame. Yeah, we saw over the past year this the Humans deck rise up to the top of the meta, and Mardu Pyromancer, which was previously like a tier 2 kind of mid-rangey deck,
it really found its home.
It really found its home because it has a good Humans matchup.
This is a match that I wouldn't really be surprised seeing just walking around at GP on any given day. You know, you'll walk past 5 of these matches.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A grudge match.
What the Mardu deck is trying to do is it's trying to disrupt early with discard spells and removal spells, and then stick a Pyromancer, and then just kind of go to town, gaining value off of all the spells after that and making a lot of 1/1s.
And those of you who have played with a Mardu Pyromancer, whatever shell it is, you really know how out of hand it can get. It's one of the few 1 toughness creatures in this game that people consider to be a self-sustaining threat, and I think that's great.
So here we see a fetch into a Blood Crypt, which gives into an Inquisition.
Now, Inquisition in this match is functionally better than Thoughtseize. Everything in the Humans deck gets taken by Inquisition, and it doesn't deal 2 damage.
With the exception of like the 1-up Restoration Angel, if they run that.
I've never seen that personally, but I have.
I've seen Restoration Angel, I've seen Whirler Rogue, I've seen Pia Kirinalar, I've seen Hostage Taker. So there are 4 drops. Do they always run that? Absolutely not. But sometimes they do, and if they do, it's a 1-of. But we're going to see him take a Thalia, which is a good take, because that's just going to tax everything that Patrick is going to try and do moving forward.
Now, this is interesting because I don't actually think this is a very good Humans hand. I think I saw 3 to 4 lands and 3 spells, right?
Well, it was a mulligan.
It was a mulligan.
It was a mulligan, like and one of them was a Horizon Canopy.
This is true.
And the other thing is, it was a Noble Hierarch, which is a turn 1 play, strong turn 1 play, follow up with a Thalia, which is great in this matchup. It just taxes everything that Patrick can do. Patrick, you know, might not have a Bolt, and here we clearly see that he did, but he might not have had that Bolt or a Fatal Push. He might have just had like a Terminator or a Dreadbore, and that would cost him 3 to kill the Thalia. So the Thalia can be like a tempo play where it taxes the one that it taxes your opponent to kill it is enough to take their entire turn, or they can't even do it.
Now, I think that it's actually better to take the because Brent, he did have 2 1-mana creatures, but I think it would probably be better to take out the champion personally, because like he's gonna have to play that Hierarch out on turn 1. He's not going to be able to actually play the Thalia until the 2nd turn, and by then Patrick's got plenty of mana to deal with it. It looks like Patrick's removal is just lining up like you would not believe here. I think
but it doesn't have a threat.
This is true.
And Brent is just going to keep drawing and replacing those threats. Right. His deck is so threat dense. The Humans deck runs 19 lands.
So here we have a juncture where Brent has to decide what's in Patrick's hand without any information. Lightning Bolt. He named Lightning Bolt.
Okay. Well, Patrick doesn't have that. He has 2 Kolaghan's commands.
But
and 2...
He does still have Lightning Bolt in the deck, which I think that's a fine name. It's the most efficient spell in Patrick's deck that Brent is scared of at this juncture. And does he have it? Wow.
Yeah.
He really filled that yard up more quickly than I was expecting. I wouldn't expect a turn 3 Bedlam Reveler. I mean, I would check it just like Brent did. This Meddling Mage doesn't look like it's long for this world, if I'm being honest. And it looks like Patrick has a Blood Moon in his hand, too, and Blood Moon is very good against humans. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it limits them to just their 1 to 2 basics, which Brent has drawn.
I've never seen the island.
So the island is, there's been an uptick of, like, Jeskai and, like, white-blue, you know, path decks.
Okay.
So, and blue is, like, the second... Blue is like, the deck's mostly a white deck, followed by like green and blue.
Right.
Yeah, so instead of the second sea chrome coast, sea foam, sea chrome, they're all metallic. Sea chrome coast, instead of the second sea chrome coast, we're seeing the first island. So there's like 3 one-of lands, and then like the rainbow lands.
Yeah, I've always seen like the 1 plains. That's usually what I expect.
1 plains, and now we're seeing an island.
Because I generally, you know, when I see the plains come out, I think they're shields down for a Field of Ruin. But obviously I'm wrong. So we got Brent playing an island here. I don't think it's wrong to play 2 basics. I think the mana base,
I mean,
the mana base is so greedy, but you know, you've got 3 rainbow lands.
Yeah, it's something like in a deck that's in the same vein like Affinity, when Path is high.
Right.
When like there's a lot of Path running around in the format. Affinity will pick up a 2nd basic, and we're seeing that in humans. I don't think it's wrong. I
don't think Path is really at a high, but Field of Ruin is for sure.
Yeah. Ghost Quarter, Field of Ruin, Blood Moon.
We got a 2nd meddling mage.
All reasons to have.
Do you think we could have some sort of marker on the board here for what these meddling mages are on? I know we've got 1 on Bolt. I didn't hear what he said for the 2nd one.
At least put it in the.
All right.
We got a Fatal Push and a Bolt. I think those are the 2. Those are 2 good ones to name.
Okay.
And these things, these meddling mages, they really just stack up. Like if Brent were to see, say, a Phantasmal Image, he could name Terminate or Kolaghan's Command, and that really turns off a lot of what Patrick can do to deal with these things, and it just starts snowballing from there. But we see the name. We now see the namesake Pyromancer. Interesting swing with the Pyromancer.
I think he's incentivized to trade off these meddling mages, and say Brent's just going to scoop it up.
Okay. Well,
I think in that scenario,
he was playing from behind the entire time.
If Patrick can get Brent to go down a creature on board from that swing, like if he trades one of those guys into it, then Patrick, I mean, he's kind of already shields down for it, but
yeah.
Patrick, like Brent just shields down for that blood moon.
And if he does,
and when that blood moon sticks, the game is over.
That's fair. And Patrick also maybe had like removal in hand, so if he does block before damage, he can kill it. And if he doesn't block, he gets in 2.
Right. Exactly.
So we saw Mardu doing Mardu things. Humans not so much. Now the sideboard. If Brent has the card, and he sees that card, it is extremely difficult for Patrick to win.
And what's the card, Zach?
Auroch Champion. Let's bring up Auroch Champion.
The human that nobody knew was a human.
Auroch Champion is a little card from 5th Dawn. Saw a reprint in Iconic Masters because, you know.
The card's honestly not terrible. It's a 1/1 with Pro Red for double white. Now
Pro Red and black.
And black.
And black.
For Pro Red and black, it is double white, but that doesn't matter here in our vile triple rainbow land deck. And it's frankly, it just synergizes with this deck.
Yeah. So Auroch Champion, it's a Soul Sister with Pro Red and black staple to it. Now what this card does is it by itself pretty much invalidates everything that the Mardu Pyromancer deck is trying to do. You can't kill it. You can't. Nothing in your deck trades with it. It can block everything. It gains life every single time a creature enters the battlefield. And both of these players are trying to have creatures enter the battlefield. The humans deck in the form of their
See, there are some matchups where Brent would bring this in against where you really just. You know, you get that life gain right off of your own creature drops. This just happens to be one of those matchups where both players are putting a lot of creatures into play.
Yeah.
And it just really comes alive with that.
If the Mardu deck gets to execute on its game plan, it's going to have a Pyromancer, it's going to start generating tokens, and all of those tokens gain Brent life.
Oh, yeah. So each one of those Mardu Pyromancer tokens is just negating its first attack, basically, because of that Auroch Champion. Plus, Auroch Champion gets to profitably trade with all of them.
Yep.
It gets to chump block, you know, the Bedlam Revelers without dying. It gets to profitably trade with the Pyromancer. Not even trade, just profitably block and kill it and survive. The only thing that Patrick has that the Auroch Champion doesn't stop is Lingering Souls, but that's not that big a deal.
And he's going to gain a life for each of the Lingering Souls tokens.
Exactly. Now, our Arc Champion is really the card in this matchup.
Patrick has to kill everything else around it and then attack through it.
Yeah, there is actually no way.
And that can be very difficult to do. I've seen stalled board states where the humans player had multiple RX champions, either in the card itself or with Phantasmal Image.
Phantasmal Image. That's a real one.
Yep.
Yeah, so apparently we have Patrick Narsavage running EE in the side, or Engineered Explosives, which...
And I have to imagine he's bringing that in.
I'm sure he's bringing that in. And Liliana's minus into only Auroch Champion is the only way to take care of it.
He's not playing a Liliana of the Veil.
No Liliana of the Veil either.
Yeah, and Liliana of the Veil would have to be on an empty board, right, and Liliana of the last toe can't target it.
Right.
So
here's Engineered Explosives for those of you who aren't intimately familiar with this card. It's just a house. It's just utility. Look at it. You engineer it and then explode it. I don't really see. The card speaks for itself. You get to just choose what number it's on, and you get to blow up everything of that number. Now, Brent's deck is all 1s and 2s and a few 3-drops. Whew! And here we have another hard-hitting Inquisition.
And if,
Double is it Staticaster?
Yeah, and another card they've incorporated into their strategy that's excellent here is the Staticaster, which is, of course, a human. Why wouldn't it be? Is it Staticaster is a 0/3 for 3 with Flash and Haste, and you can tap it to deal 1 damage to a creature and all creatures that share the same name as that creature.
Which in Patrick's deck is a lot.
It's very good at taking down tokens.
The 2 most common names that appear on the battlefield on Patrick's side are Elemental and Spirit.
Yep.
I don't think you're excited enough for this card.
The card does a lot of work. I've never had it brought in against me. Which doesn't surprise anybody, as you don't play that card versus Tron.
So Brent unfortunately only has 1 land, but Aether Vial can help make up for that.
So there's an interesting point. Hand attack is a good way to take out the Auroch Champion, which puts Auroch Champion in a really interesting position where if it is not in your opening hand and you draw it and then play it the same turn, it's basically unstoppable.
Yep.
It wouldn't surprise me if Brent just runs away with it. Now, if it's just the Auroch Champion that sticks and Brent doesn't do much else, that's obviously not great, because Patrick will eventually run it over. Just undoubtedly, just eventually run it over. He'll throw bolts upstairs. He'll do whatever he needs to do.
So Brent now has the Vial up to the operative 2, and he drew a 2nd land. So this turn he gets to do a lot.
Yeah, Vial on 2 is.
This is where you get to start playing multiple threats on the same turn, which really taxes the Pyromancer deck's removal.
Kozilek's return's a pretty decent answer to Auroch Champion with that hot devoid keyword.
Yeah, and Bedlam Reveler costs 8 mana, so that would flash it back.
You're right. Bedlam Reveler would flash it back. That's a good one. And once it's in the yard, the Bedlam Reveler costs less and flashes it back.
So that's when you
maximum synergy.
It's the cast trigger, so it won't kill the Bedlam.
The original. So the original. These are all. This is all talking about like the evolution of the metagame. So like Humans rises up in popularity, and a deck like Mardu Pyromancer rises up to beat it. So Humans incorporates cards like Auroch Champion and Is It Staticaster to combat the Pyromancer deck. And the Pyromancer deck can then play something like Kozilek's Return to answer those things.
All right, so here we have a Phantasmal Image on Meddling Mage, one of the best plays that is possible. The Phantasmal Image is just your second 4 of whatever you want, and coincidentally, I think Meddling Mage is actually the best deck in the the best card
in the humans deck,
because it just like people don't diversify their threats, or at least their answers.
It's forced people to.
It has. It's forced me to play All Is Dust in my sideboard to have a third name for them to have to actually put me off of sweepers, but the card's really good. It has actually affected deck building in this format.
Yeah, if you were running like Anger of the Gods, now you run Anger of the Gods, and like I've seen in Sweltering Suns, I've even seen like Shard Slag out of Scape Shift lists.
Shard Slag.
Yep.
Slag Storm?
Slag Storm. Is that it? No, it's Shard Slag, right?
Slag Storm deals 3 to each creature and player, right? Or 3 to each creature or player? One of those. Anyway, I've never heard of Shard Slag. I'm sure you're talking about Slag Storm.
Slag Storm. No, that's it. Which you can deal, 3 to each creature or 3 to each player. But it's all about like diversifying your sweepers, diversifying your removal, so that you have an out to Meddling Mage.
All right. So we got all those Meddling Mages off the field. I've never actually seen somebody playing the Slag Storm, but it definitely does the job. I mean,
yeah. Very briefly, like when Bloodbraid Elf got unbanned, people were playing this in Scape Shift.
In the right meta environment, I can almost see Burn playing it because you have the option to go upstairs with it.
Yeah.
Being a sort, I mean, 3 mana is nuts, but like, you're playing Burn. If you can wipe their board, that's probably against the right deck. That's probably just as good as
Yeah, and then if it's not doing that, then it can go upstairs.
Yeah, you just have the option to go upstairs with it.
So,
is it Staticaster coming out and keeping Patrick Narsavage on the defensive here? He can't play into that.
No. Nope.
Or
Lily doesn't kill it.
Lily doesn't kill it. Well, Lily kill it. Well, this Lily doesn't kill it.
This Lily doesn't kill it.
And we don't have any creatures, so basically Patrick's only way to get through that is to draw a removal spell.
He's got a Dreadbore.
And follow it up with a threat. But the card having Flash and Haste is really bad news for Patrick. Just because Patrick can build up this board state and have all the answers in the world of the Staticaster, but the Staticaster can just come out of nowhere and wipe out your board before you have the chance to answer it. So we have a plus on Staticaster, making it a -1/2.
Yeah.
No, -2/2. That's a -2/2.
If you have negative power, does that mean your opponent gains life?
I wish. Not because I do that in any deck. I just would like that to be the case.
Nah.
I just think that's cute. I want that to happen.
All right. There we go.
And we got another one coming out. Good old.
I like Patrick's play here between the Liliana and the Kolaghan's Command. He was able to take down the first is it Staticaster and blow up the
Vial.
and blow up the
Brent
Vial.
did have a second Staticaster, but that Vial is off the table, and the second Staticaster is in play, and Patrick has a Fatal Push. So
that's really what you're going to try and do with. We always talk about Kolaghan's Command doing different things in different matchups. That's really the operative thing to be doing here, is to kill a creature and blow up the Vial.
For sure. And that's probably one of the best things that Patrick can do here, because now all he needs is a fetch land to answer that Staticaster with his Fatal Push. And, he obviously we just ran out an Inquisition here. The Liliana's a clock here as well.
Yeah.
Unless that Mantis Rider has something to say about it, which it does. But we had one more turn before he was going to ult that Lily, and do we know what Lily's emblem does? Can we get Lily's emblem up? Because that
makes zombies.
That emblem is a game winner, considering especially that you can't answer emblems. Well, we'll get the Lily emblem up here in a second.
It won a Pro Tour, dude.
It really did. It's standard and modern. How often do you see that? How often do you see a card altering standard and modern in the same way almost? Aside from lands, we got the new fast lands out of this not most recent, but a few sets ago that were automatic includes in standard and modern.
Yep.
But that just goes without saying, it's lands after all.
Yeah, it usually takes a little bit longer for a card to catch on in modern. Not always, but
yeah. So here we have just an incrementally increasing zombie engine. We get X zombies equal to the number of zombies you control plus 2.
Yep.
So no zombies in play, that's fine. Here's 2.
Here's
2 zombies in play, here's 4. It's nuts. It is. You just can't answer that many 2/2s.
It's the win the game eventually mode.
Yeah. It's Urza's Factory for black decks.
Oh my.
You can't stop the tide of 2/2s. And you sure as heck can't answer the emblem.
And I think that's actually how we're going to see this game go.
And there's the EE on 3.
Yep.
Now, the interesting thing about this EE on 3 right now is that it both takes out Patrick's own Liliana and the Staticaster. So what it looks like...
Yeah, I don't like that play.
Is, well, no, here, I like it because we've got a permanent that is both holding the board marginally hostage by saying, Brent, as soon as I decide to play a Pyromancer, I'm going to pop this at your end step and then play my Pyromancer. And we're going to take that as a Staticaster off the table. And I think that even if it takes out the Lily, I think that's fine because he's still, you know, destroying on average 1 creature a turn with this Liliana.
Liliana's how he's going to win the game, though.
Potentially. That's the plan right now, but you never know when you draw a card that just dramatically alters your plan.
It's true.
So we know there's at least, looks like, 2 lands in Brent's hand. Looks like we have some debt. No, we have a Ancient Ziggurat and a spell. I can't really see what the spell is.
It's a Reclamation Sage.
Reclamation Sage.
Reclamation Sage is going to destroy this.
Yeah.
This engineered explosives.
Definitely can do that, and that makes. That's interesting. He decided to pop that. He must have drawn a Pyromancer. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Brent's flooding over here. It happens. Like, the deck runs 19 lands.
We're getting to listen to some classic Top Deck Productions Brent Rogers color commentary on the mic out there, and he is not happy about all these lands. I'll tell you that.
I wouldn't be either.
Yeah.
They can't all be Horizon Canopies.
Yeah. So Patrick drew a Lingering Souls, which is why he decided to pop that.
That's fine. I mean, this is a clock.
It's a clock, yeah, for real. Like he sacrificed his Liliana to the engineered explosives in order to answer Brent's last threat for this board.
Yep.
And now Patrick's going to run away with these souls.
I still think he could have gotten the Liliana to go off.
I don't know. We had a pretty consistent, you know, at least 1 damage going toward the Liliana every turn, and you know I think he did the right thing personally. That's what I would have done. 4 damage, flying. Like, what's Brent going to do about that? He only has 4 flyers in his deck. Oh, he has 8 flyers.
He has 8 flyers.
I'm wrong again. But he's got to see those, and he's not drawing.
Yeah, flying ain't what it used to be.
Flying ain't what it used to be for sure.
The skies are crowded these days in Modern.
Absolutely.
Especially with the new Spirits deck.
The new Spirits deck.
Still undecided. The jury's still out whether the Bant or the white-blue is better. Let us know in the chat.
Eric Shootman thinks that the white-blue is the way to go.
I agree.
Yeah, our boy
it's
Eric
cleaner.
Shootman,
it's just a cleaner mana base.
He top 64 at the Open, right? Pretty sure he did.
I think he top 16.
Top 16? Well, he did really well with blue-white Spirits. I think like the Bant offers a little, or the green for the Bant offers Hierarchs and Cocos, but like I just think they don't.
Yeah, the white blue is a cleaner mana base. So here we see a Sin Collector and a Militia Bugler, which is excellent. I
think the Bugler went and got the Sin Collector.
Yeah, we bugled for a Sin Collector. So the Bugler is a new addition to the deck from M19.
And I think it's great.
The M stands for core. And it's a great addition. Yeah, it provides both card advantage and card selection.
And a body. And a trigger on all your stupid stuff that triggers on humans entering.
So Militia Bugler is a 2/3 with Vigilance for 3. And it lets you look at the top 4 cards of your library. You reveal a creature with power 2 or less from among them and put it into your hand. And then you put the rest on the bottom.
It's a fixed Imperial Recruiter. That's what it is.
This card does not hit Aether Vial, your lands, or Mantis Rider, but it hits all of your sideboard cards and all the rest of your creatures.
Yeah, the only thing it doesn't hit is your top end 3-drops, really.
And so you have 4 looks to hit over 50% of your deck. There's a 5% chance of you missing.
And even if you miss, you know, it's a 2/3.
It gets them out of the way.
It's a creature. It's a dude. It's a human.
So
you can synergize with it.
This card replaces itself by giving you a card, and you get to pick out of those.
Oh,
so the most important thing is that it helps you find your sideboard cards.
Eat your heart out, Mole Drifter. I don't think Brent can win this game.
I don't know. He's making a pretty good show of it. I mean, we just saw him go from an empty battlefield to this. That's the power of this deck.
Right, but I still don't think Brent can win here. He's definitely really come back from kind of the pits of hell, really. But we have 3 power flying. That's a 3-turn clock unless Patrick draws, you know, a bolt or a collective. I mean, like, we have a 3-turn clock here, sans 1 damage. All right, we have a Culligan's Command coming out of Patrick's side here.
Which would have been the right thing to name, but Patrick does have a chance to respond while the meddling mage is on the stack. Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about the meddling mage is it works exactly the same as Pithing Needle. Once your opponent says it resolves, there is no chance to respond to the name being chosen before it's too late.
Yep.
So you have to predict what they're choosing while you make your decisions in response.
That's accurate.
So we have a Bedlam Reveler here from Patrick, pitching a Blood Moon and a Pyromancer. I think a Blood Moon would have been great, because then Patrick just has to clean up the board. And that's not that hard. We just need to, you know, pick and choose a little bit. And here's another Bedlam Reveler. We're going to pitch Faithless Looting. That seems like the right play. Instead of just casting the Faithless Looting.
Draw Lingering Souls, you know, no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. Yeah, this is a heck of a clock here. Patrick only has to stick. Well, Patrick's next swing.
He holds back. He holds back the revelers, and
Patrick basically just swings out here, and then he's abyssing Brent every turn. Brent's gonna have to throw at least 2 things under the bus. He just goes for it. Brent can't do anything about the. Well, now he can do something about the flares, can't he?
Yep. Patrick has another Lingering Souls in hand. We're winding this down, wrapping it up.
For sure. That Mantis Rider does make this a little bit trickier. So it has lifelink, right?
No, it has flying, haste, and vigilance.
And I see Jessica. I just think lifelink personally. And you know,
yeah, it's a play on the old card Lightning Angel, which is a 3/4 for 4. The difference being that it has 1 more point of toughness, the additional casting cost. Mantis Rider's just more efficient. Costs 1 less, keeps all the keyword abilities, and loses 1 point.
We're playing and flashing back a Lingering Souls here on.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like Patrick's gonna swing with. I don't think he needs to. I don't think he needs to attack. With
I think he does. I think he does.
He can just attack with his souls.
Well, here's the thing.
He'll do 2 this turn.
Patrick has to Brent has to unprofitably block both of those, or he just loses.
Yeah.
So this is either going to make the game end and Patrick the victor, or it's going to kill 2 creatures without Patrick having any downside.
Because he had the second souls. I'm not opposed to an all-out attack here.
I absolutely agree with an all-out attack here. I also don't think it's wrong just to throw in the Revelers, because I don't know, Patrick, does he have cards in hand? I don't think he has cards in hand.
Patrick doesn't have anything.
So it's not the worst thing ever to just play a little bit on the safe side here. I think Patrick solidly has this game wrapped up here, but we're just going to go through the motions here. I think Brent's recognized it. I know Brent. He would concede if he didn't think he had outs, so he clearly thinks he has outs, and I wouldn't doubt him. I've seen human decks do crazy stuff. I don't think it loses to Staticaster. I don't think Brent has 3 Staticasters.
No, they play 2.
And we've seen and dealt with both.
Yep.
And that's why I was discounting that card. You're technically right. It would kind of blow Patrick out here for the game.
Yeah, and we haven't seen an Auroch.
Here's the hand from Brent.
Haven't seen an Auroch champion.
That's our first match done. 2-0.
Yep.
To Patrick Narsavage. Now we still have a little time on the clock, and we've got a couple backup matches.
We got some
for you.
So we'll get one of those up. Yeah, we saw Mardu get to execute its game plan, and pretty much deal with the. We saw the sideboard cards out of humans, which is cool, but the Mardu deck was able to deal with them.
All right, let's go see about some backup matches here. We'll be right back with some Magic the Gathering.
Yep.